The great hall of the Galactic Tribunal stretched far beyond what most beings could see. Golden light fell from the ceiling, making everything glow with an ancient power. Thousands of seats filled the curved walls, each one holding a representative from the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Today, they were all here for one reason. Ambassador HFY stood in the center of the hall. Her body was made of living crystal, and it shook with fear. The light passed through her transparent form, casting rainbow patterns on the floor around her. She had served the Celestial Dominion for over 300 years. Never had she imagined she would stand here as a criminal. Above her head, massive screens showed numbers that made her stomach turn. 47 star fleets destroyed. 12 worlds made unlivable. Cities turned to ash. Billions of lives lost across dozens of species. All because of one decision she had made 3 years ago. Judge Morthak of the Ancient Council spoke first. His voice was deep and slow, like rocks falling down a mountain. Ambassador HFY, you stand accused of genocide against multiple species. You are charged with destroying the peace that has lasted for 10,000 years. How do you answer? HFY lifted her head. Her voice was clear but quiet. I am not guilty, Your Honor. I followed all the rules. I did what we always do with primitive worlds. A sound like thunder rolled through the hall. Thousands of beings made noise at once, some angry, some afraid. The judge raised his hand and silence fell again. Prosecutor Vellani stepped forward. She was from the Ethereal Collective, her body made of pure energy contained in a silver suit. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of all the dead. Your Honor, the evidence will show that this defendant opened a gate to a world called Earth. This single act has led to the greatest disaster in galactic history. The screens above changed. Now they showed a small blue planet turning slowly in space around a yellow star. It looked peaceful, beautiful even. Many beings in the hall had never seen Earth before. It was hard to believe that such a pretty world could cause so much death. Earth, Vellani continued, was home to a species called humans. Our scans showed they were primitive. They had nuclear weapons but no faster-than-light travel. They seemed perfect for peaceful integration into our civilization. The defendant thought they would be easy to control. HFY's crystal body flashed with anger. They were primitive. Our computers said they were Type 0 civilization. Level 1 technology. They should have been grateful to join us. Grateful? Vellani's energy form pulsed brighter. Let me show the court what humanity's gratitude looked like. The screens changed again. Now they showed space battles. Huge Dominion warships, each one the size of a city, exploded in bright flashes. Strange tiers in space opened and closed, swallowing entire fleets. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were torn apart like paper. In the first month, Vellani said, humanity destroyed more Dominion ships than we had lost in the previous 1,000 years. They didn't just fight back. They learned from every battle. Every ship they destroyed taught them something new. Every weapon we used against them, they found a way to use against us. Judge Zarellen from the Wisdom Keepers leaned forward. She was old even by galactic standards, her skin like ancient bark. Prosecutor, show us how this started. What exactly did the defendant do? The screens showed a different view now. A massive ring of metal and energy floating in space near Earth's moon. The gate was beautiful in its own way, crackling with power that could connect distant parts of the galaxy in seconds. The defendant authorized the opening of a dimensional gate in the Sol system. Vellani explained. This gate was meant to allow our ships easy access to Earth, standard procedure for integrating new worlds. But the humans saw it differently. HFY spoke up. The gate was a gift. It would have connected them to the galaxy. They could have traded with thousands of species. They could have learned from civilizations millions of years older than them. Instead, they attacked us. Attacked? Vellani's voice grew cold. You bombarded their cities when they refused to surrender. You destroyed their space stations. You killed millions of humans in the first day. What did you expect them to do? The screens showed the early days of the conflict. Dominion ships rained fire on Earth's major cities. Humans ran in panic through burning streets. Their primitive weapons bounced harmlessly off Dominion shields. It should have been over in hours. I expected them to surrender, HFY said quietly. Every other species does. When they see our power, they understand. They join us willingly. It's better for everyone. But humans are not like every other species, Vellani said. The screens showed something that made many beings in the hall gasp. Human ships, crude and small, flying straight into Dominion fleets. They knew they would die, but they fought anyway. Look at them, Vellani continued. Other species fight for territory. They fight for resources. They fight for survival. But humans fought for something else. Something we didn't understand until it was too late. Judge Morthak spoke again. What did they fight for? Freedom, Vellani said simply. Not just their own freedom. The idea of freedom itself. They would rather die than live under our rule, and they were willing to take us with them. The screens showed more battles. Human ships using the dimensional gates in ways no one had ever imagined. They opened gates inside Dominion vessels, tearing them apart from within. They redirected their nuclear weapons through the gates, striking targets thousands of light years away in seconds. Within 6 months, Vellani said, humanity had reverse-engineered our gate technology, something that takes most species centuries to develop. But they didn't just copy it. They improved it. They weaponized it in ways we never thought possible. Kethvar's form grew dimmer. How could we have known? They were primitive. Our computers said, your computers were wrong, Vellani interrupted. And your failure to recognize that has cost billions of lives. The screens showed the spread of the conflict. Systems that had been peaceful for millennia erupted into war. Species that had accepted Dominion rule for thousands of years suddenly rebelled. The humans had taught them something dangerous, that fighting back was possible. The defendants' actions didn't just start a war with humanity, Vellani said. They started a revolution that has spread across the entire galaxy. The old order is collapsing. Worlds we have ruled for 10,000 years are declaring independence. And it all started with that gate. Judge Zar Ellen looked at Kethvar with ancient, sad eyes. Did you know this would happen? No, Kethvar whispered. I thought they would be like all the others. I thought they would see our strength and surrender. I thought the gate would be a bridge to peace. Instead, Vellani said, it became a bridge to war. A war that continues to this day. A war that has changed everything. The screens went dark. In the silence that followed, the weight of all those deaths seemed to press down on everyone in the hall. Kethvar stood alone in the center, her crystal body barely visible in the golden light. This trial will determine not just the defendant's guilt, Judge Morthak said finally, but also how the galaxy will remember this dark chapter in our history. The question before us is simple. When you opened the gate to Earth, did you doom us all? Or did you save us from something even worse? The words hung in the air like a promise of terrible revelations to come. Kethvar looked up at the judges, her form flickering with fear and confusion. She had no idea that the worst was yet to be revealed. 3 years before the trial, Ambassador Kethvar stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Star of Dominion. Through the massive viewing window, she could see a small yellow star in the distance. Around it spun several planets, including one, blue world that her computer said was perfect for their needs. Report, she commanded her aide, a young Dominion officer named Tarwin. The third planet shows all signs of intelligent life, Ambassador, he said, reading from a glowing display. The inhabitants call themselves humans. They have achieved nuclear technology, but no faster than light travel. Population approximately 8 billion. No unified planetary government. Kethvar nodded with satisfaction. This was exactly what the Dominion looked for when expanding into new systems. A species advanced enough to be useful, but primitive enough to integrate peacefully. In her 3 centuries of service, she had overseen the integration of 47 worlds. All had gone smoothly. Have they detected our presence? She asked. No, Ambassador. We are maintaining position at the edge of their solar system. Their sensors are too primitive to detect us at this range. Good. Begin standard first contact procedures. I want a full cultural analysis before we make contact, and prepare the gate for construction. Tarwin looked up from his display. Ambassador, should we not attempt communication first? Some species prefer... Officer Tarwin, Kethvar's voice was firm but not unkind. I have been doing this since before you were born. Trust in the process. A show of our technological superiority first, then communication. It prevents unnecessary conflict. For 2 weeks, Dominion ships studied Earth and its humans. They watched their cities, their wars, their crude attempts at space exploration. The humans seemed much like other primitive species the Dominion had encountered. They fought among themselves, polluted their world, and struggled with basic problems that galactic civilization had solved millions of years ago. They are fascinating in their simplicity, Dr. Nethara, the expedition's chief scientist, reported to Kethvar. They have hundreds of different languages and cultures, no central authority. They cannot even agree on basic things like how to measure distance or time. Typical of a Type 0 civilization, Kethvar replied. They will benefit greatly from joining us. No more wars, no more suffering from disease or hunger. We offer them paradise. Some of their communications suggest they might resist, Dr. Nethara said carefully. Their entertainment often shows them fighting against superior alien forces. They seem to have a strong cultural emphasis on independence. Kethvar waved a dismissive hand. Fiction, Doctor. When they see our true power, reality will set in quickly. Now, is the gate ready? The dimensional gate was one of the Dominion's greatest achievements, a massive ring of metal and energy that could create stable wormholes across vast distances. It had connected thousands of worlds to the galactic community, allowing for trade, communication, and shared knowledge. Gate construction is complete, Ambassador, reported Chief Engineer Volmas. We have positioned it near their natural satellite. From there, it can accommodate ships of any size entering their system. Kethvar looked at the gate through her viewing screen. It was beautiful, crackling with power that bent space and time itself. Soon, trade ships and colonization vessels would pass through it, bringing Earth into the galactic family. Another successful integration for her record. Activate the gate, she ordered. The ring of metal began to glow brighter. Space twisted and folded at its center, creating a tunnel to the Dominion's nearest military base. The gate was now active, a permanent bridge between Earth's solar system and the rest of the galaxy. Within hours, Earth's primitive instruments detected the gate. Their reaction was swift and predictable. Radio communications across the planet exploded with excitement and fear. Military forces were placed on high alert. Crude weapons were pointed toward space. They are afraid, Tarwin observed, monitoring their communications. Of course they are, Kethvar replied. They have just learned they are not alone in the universe. Fear is natural, but soon they will understand that we come in peace. She was wrong. The humans did not understand peace the way the Dominion did. Kethvar took a small fleet of ships through the gate to make first contact. She chose vessels designed to look impressive but not threatening. The flagship was accompanied by 2 escort ships, their hulls polished to shine in Earth sunlight. The humans greeted them with missiles. Primitive nuclear warheads, reported the defensive systems officer as the weapons exploded harmlessly against their shields. No damage to our vessels. Kethvar shook her head sadly. Open communication channels, all human languages. Her image appeared on screens across Earth. She spoke the ritual words of first contact that she had used dozens of times before. Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Celestial Dominion. We come in peace to welcome you into the galactic community. Your world will know prosperity and peace under our guidance. The human response was not gratitude. Their leaders demanded she leave their system immediately. They called her invasion plans, threats of conquest. They accused the Dominion of planning to enslave their species. We offer you membership in a civilization that spans the galaxy, Kethvar explained patiently during the communication sessions. You will have access to technology beyond your imagination. Disease, hunger, and war can be things of the past. All we ask in return is that you accept our governance and contribute to the greater good. The human leader, a stern man from one of their larger nations, spoke for many when he replied, We choose our own future. We will not bow to alien masters no matter what you promise. You misunderstand, Kethvar said. This is not conquest. This is integration. Every species goes through this transition. You will keep your cultures, your beliefs. You will simply be part of something larger. Under your control, the human said. Under our guidance, Kethvar corrected. Like children learning from adults. That was her first mistake. Humans, she would learn, did not like being called children. The negotiations went on for weeks. Every offer the Dominion made was rejected. Every attempt at compromise was met with suspicion. The humans seemed to believe that freedom and safety could not exist together, that they could not be protected without being controlled. "They are being unreasonable," Tarwin said during one of their strategy meetings. "Every species benefits from joining us. Why can they not see this?" "They are young," Kethvar replied. "Give them time. When they see what we can offer, they will understand." But time only made the humans more stubborn. They began building defenses around their world. They pointed every weapon they had at the gate. Their military forces prepared for war against an enemy they could not possibly defeat. Finally, Kethvar made the decision that would haunt her forever. "Initiate standard pacification procedures," she ordered. "Target military installations only. Show them our strength, but do not harm civilians." "Ambassador," Dr. Nithara said quietly, "perhaps we should try other approaches first. This species seems—" "Doctor, I have integrated 47 worlds. This is how it is done. A show of force, then surrender, then peaceful integration. It always works." The Dominion fleet opened fire on Earth's military bases. Their weapons were precise, destroying only targets that could threaten them. No cities were harmed, no civilians killed. It was a perfect demonstration of superior power. Kethvar expected surrender within hours. Instead, the humans fought harder. Their crewed ships launched themselves at the Dominion fleet in suicide attacks. Their leaders spoke of dying free rather than living as slaves. Their people began building weapons in factories and hiding them in schools and hospitals. "They are not surrendering," Tarwin reported, his voice confused. "If anything, they are becoming more aggressive." Kethvar stared at the blue world below. This had never happened before. Every other species had seen the futility of resistance and accepted the better life the Dominion offered. These humans seemed to think death was preferable to peace. "Increase the pressure," she ordered reluctantly. "Destroy their orbital installations. Target their space capabilities. They cannot fight what they cannot reach." The bombardment continued for 3 days. Human spacecraft were destroyed as soon as they left the atmosphere. Their satellites were eliminated. Their space stations were reduced to debris. Still, they refused to surrender. Then something happened that changed everything. On the 4th day, human scientists began studying the wreckage of their destroyed spacecraft. Instead of mourning their losses, they started taking apart pieces of Dominion technology that had fallen to Earth during the battle. "Ambassador," Dr. Nithara said, her voice worried. "The humans are examining our weapons fragments. They appear to be learning from them." "Let them," Kethvar replied. "It will take them decades to understand technology so advanced." She was wrong again. It took them 6 weeks. The first sign was when human missiles started penetrating their shields. The second was when those missiles began using Dominion power sources. The third was when the humans opened their own dimensional gate. "That is impossible," Kethvar whispered, staring at the readings. "Gate technology takes centuries to develop." But there it was on her sensors. A crude but functional dimensional gate built by humans in less than 2 months. They had not just copied Dominion technology, they had improved it. And then the first human gate opened with a sound like thunder breaking across space. Ambassador Kethvar watched from her command ship as the crude ring of metal and stolen Dominion technology created a tear in reality itself. She had expected many things from these stubborn humans, but this was not one of them. "How is this possible?" she asked Dr. Nithara, who was staring at her instruments with wide eyes. "I don't understand it myself," the scientist replied. "They have taken fragments of our technology and combined them with their own materials. The gate should not work. Their science is too primitive. But somehow, the gate stabilized, and through it came something that made Kethvar's crystal heart grow cold. Human ships, but not the crude vessels they had fought before. These were different. They still looked primitive, but they moved with deadly purpose. "Their power signatures are wrong," reported the sensor officer. "They are using our own energy systems, but modified, enhanced." The first human ship through the gate fired a single weapon. It looked like one of their nuclear missiles, the same type that had bounced harmlessly off Dominion shields weeks before. But this one cut through the shields like they were not there and destroyed a patrol ship in a flash of terrible light. "How?" Kethvar whispered. Her answer came from the second human ship. Instead of firing weapons, it simply opened another gate, a small one, no bigger than the destroyed patrol ship. The gate appeared inside the hull of a Dominion cruiser and tore it apart from within. Metal screamed as the ship folded in on itself and disappeared into the dimensional tear. "They are using our own technology against us," Tarwin said, his voice filled with fear, "but they are using it wrong. Those gates are not stable. They should collapse." "Maybe that is the point," Dr. Nethera said quietly. She was right. The humans were not trying to build perfect gates like the Dominion. They were building weapons that destroyed themselves after one use, taking their targets with them. It was wasteful, dangerous, and completely insane by galactic standards. It was also terrifyingly effective. Within hours, the humans had destroyed half of Kethvar's fleet using weapons that should not have existed. They opened gates in space that redirected asteroid fields at Dominion ships. They created unstable dimensional tiers that swallowed entire squadrons. They used nuclear weapons as ammunition for guns that fired through folded space. "Ambassador," Tarwin said urgently, "we need to retreat. Call for reinforcements. These humans are not like other species." Kethvar wanted to argue, but the evidence was right in front of her. In 6 weeks, the humans had gone from primitive nuclear technology to weapons that could threaten the galaxy's most advanced military. They had not just learned from Dominion technology. They had made it better. "Send a message to Dominion Command," she ordered. "Tell them we need a full battle fleet. These humans are more dangerous than we thought." The reinforcements arrived 2 weeks later. Admiral Korthax brought 50 of the most advanced warships in the Dominion fleet. Ships that had conquered entire star systems. Ships that had never known defeat. The humans destroyed them all in 3 days. They did not do it through superior technology. The Dominion ships were still more advanced, their weapons more powerful, their shields stronger. But the humans fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They used their gates to appear anywhere without warning. Dominion fleets would arrive at a target system only to find human ships already waiting for them. Having traveled through dimensions the long way around, they turned space itself into a weapon, opening gates that created gravitational storms and dimensional whirlpools. Worse than their weapons was their attitude. Other species fought to win territory or resources. They had goals that could be achieved, demands that could be met. But the humans seemed to fight for the simple joy of fighting. Every defeat taught them something new. Every destroyed ship provided them with technology to study and improve. "They learn from everything," Dr. Nethera reported to Kethvar after studying the wreckage of a human vessel. "This ship contains technology from 6 different Dominion classes. They take whatever they can find and combine it in ways we never imagined. But they are losing ships too," Kethvar pointed out. "They cannot replace them as fast as we can, can't they?" Dr. Nethera showed her the latest intelligence reports. They have turned their entire world into a weapons factory. Every human, from children to elderly, is working to build ships and weapons. They have redesigned their entire society around war. The reports were disturbing. Humans had stopped all their normal activities. Art, entertainment, even basic commerce had been redirected toward the war effort. Children as young as 10 were helping to build weapons. Scientists who had spent their lives studying medicine were now designing new ways to kill. "This is madness," Kethvar said. "They are destroying their own civilization to fight us." "No," Admiral Korthax corrected her. "They are becoming something else. Something we have never faced before." He was right. Within months of the war beginning, humanity had transformed itself. They no longer seemed like the divided, arguing species the Dominion had first encountered. They had become united by the war, focused on a single goal, destroying everyone who threatened their freedom. They began attacking Dominion bases outside their own system. Using their network of stolen gates, they could strike anywhere in the galaxy without warning. A peaceful mining colony would suddenly find human ships appearing in their sky, demanding they rebel against Dominion rule or face destruction. "They are spreading rebellion," reported intelligence officer Zethai. "Every world they attack, they leave behind their message. Freedom is possible. Resistance can succeed." This was the most dangerous development of all. For 10,000 years, the Dominion had ruled through the simple idea that resistance was futile. Species joined them because they believed they had no choice, but the humans were proving that choice existed. Worlds that had been peaceful for centuries suddenly erupted in revolution. The humans had not even attacked most of these planets. They had simply shown them what was possible. If primitive humans could fight the Dominion and win, then perhaps other species could too. The rebellion is spreading to the outer rim, HFY continued. 17 systems have declared independence in the last month. They are using human tactics, human technology, human strategies. HFY felt her crystalline form grow cold. How many? 43 systems are now in open rebellion. Another 100 are showing signs of unrest. The humans have not just started a war, Ambassador. They have started a revolution. The worst part was how the humans fought. Other species had rules of war, codes of honor, limits on what they would do to achieve victory. Humans had none of these things. They would use any weapon, exploit any weakness, sacrifice anything to win. They poisoned water supplies on worlds that supported the Dominion. They hacked communication networks to spread rebellion propaganda. They used dimensional gates to drop nuclear weapons directly into the hearts of Dominion cities. But they also did something that confused their enemies. They showed mercy to those who surrendered. Dominion soldiers who gave up were treated well, fed and allowed to communicate with their families. Human ships would rescue survivors from destroyed vessels, even enemy survivors. They are contradictions, Dr. Nathara observed. They fight with absolute ruthlessness, but they also show unexpected kindness. They will destroy an entire fleet to save a single human life, but they will also risk their lives to save enemy wounded. It makes no sense, HFY said. It makes perfect sense to them, the doctor replied. They do not fight because they enjoy killing. They fight because they believe in something worth dying for. And that makes them impossible to defeat through normal means. The war dragged on for months, then years. Each battle was more destructive than the last. Humans learned to use Dominion technology better than the Dominion itself. They created weapons that bent space and time, ships that could exist in multiple dimensions at once, and strategies that made their enemies fight themselves. They also began recruiting allies from among the species they liberated. Not just soldiers, but scientists and engineers who brought their own knowledge to the human war machine. The rebellion became a melting pot of galactic technology and human innovation. They have created a new form of warfare, Admiral Korthax reported grimly. They do not fight to conquer. They fight to free. Every world they touch becomes stronger, not weaker. Every species they encounter learns to resist. The final straw came when humans began appearing in the core systems, the heart of Dominion power. Using a network of gates that spanned the galaxy, they launched simultaneous attacks on dozens of government worlds. Not to destroy them, but to broadcast a message to every citizen. The message was simple: you are not alone. Resistance is possible. Freedom is worth fighting for. Within days, the core systems erupted in the largest rebellion in galactic history. Billions of beings who had never questioned Dominion rule suddenly demanded the right to govern themselves. The humans had not conquered them. They had simply shown them what they already possessed: the power to choose. Keth. The surrender negotiations took place on a neutral space station in the Veil Nebula. HFY had never imagined she would sit across a table from humans as equals, but the past year had taught her that many things she thought impossible were simply waiting to happen. The human representative was a woman named Sarah Chen. She was small and quiet, with gray hair and tired eyes. She did not look like someone who had helped bring the galaxy's greatest empire to its knees. But appearances had proven meaningless when dealing with her species. Ambassador HFY, Sarah said politely as they began, "Thank you for agreeing to these talks." "I had little choice," HFY replied honestly. "Your people have made continuing this war impossible." Sarah nodded sadly. "War is always a choice, Ambassador. We would have preferred peace. Then why did you refuse our offers of integration?" "Because integration and conquest are the same thing, just with prettier words." Sarah opened a datapad and placed it on the table. "We have been studying your Dominion for the past 2 years. We know how integration works." The datapad showed detailed intelligence about dozens of worlds under Dominion rule, species that had been strip-mined for resources, cultures that had been erased and replaced with Dominion standards, billions of beings living comfortable but empty lives, their creativity and independence traded for safety and ease. "You offer paradise," Sarah continued, "but it is a paradise where no one gets to choose what paradise means." "We have brought peace to the galaxy," HFY protested. "No more wars, no more suffering from disease or hunger. Is that not worth preserving? At what cost? Sarah asked. How many species have forgotten their own languages? How many worlds have lost their unique cultures? How many individuals have never had the chance to decide their own fate? Kethavar had no good answer to these questions. She had never thought about the costs of peace, only its benefits. What do you want from us? She asked instead. Sarah's answer was not what Kethavar expected. We want the galaxy to be free to choose. Every world, every species, every individual. If they want to join your dominion, that should be their decision. If they want to be independent, that should also be their choice. That would mean chaos, Kethavar said. Wars between species. Competition for resources. All the suffering we have eliminated. Maybe, Sarah agreed. But it would also mean growth, innovation. The chance for each species to become something more than what they are now. You have given the galaxy stability, but you have also given it stagnation. The negotiations continued for weeks. Slowly, a new structure for the galaxy began to emerge. The Dominion would remain, but as a voluntary association rather than an empire. Worlds could join or leave as they chose. Species could govern themselves according to their own values and traditions. But even as they talked, the war continued to spread. The humans had created something that could not be easily stopped, the idea that freedom was possible. This idea moved faster than ships or weapons, infecting every world it touched with the desire for self-determination. The Ethereal Collective was the first major power to break away from the Dominion. Their energy-based society had always been different from the crystal beings who ruled the Empire, but they had accepted Dominion leadership for the sake of peace. Now they declared independence and began forming their own confederation of energy-based species. The Silicon Republics followed soon after. These machine intelligences had been valuable members of the Dominion, providing computational power and technological innovation. But they had also been restricted by biological prejudices that limited their growth. Freedom meant they could finally explore what it meant to be truly artificial life. More dangerous were the species that chose a different path entirely. The war clans of the Outer Rim, suppressed for millennia by Dominion peacekeeping forces, suddenly erupted in their first major conflict in 10,000 years. Without Dominion ships to stop them, they began conquering their neighbors with a brutality that shocked the galaxy. You see, Kethavar said to Sarah during one of their sessions, this is what freedom brings. The strong prey on the weak. At least under Dominion rule, everyone was protected. Protected and imprisoned, Sarah replied. But you are right that freedom brings risks. That is why we are not just tearing down your empire. We are building something to replace it. She showed Kethavar the plans that humans were developing with their new allies. A galactic defense network that could respond to threats without controlling peaceful worlds. A communication system that would allow species to cooperate without giving up their independence. Trade agreements that promoted prosperity without requiring political submission. You want to remake the galaxy, Kethavar said. We want to give the galaxy the chance to remake itself, Sarah corrected. But the humans were not content to simply negotiate. Even as talks continued, their fleets grew stronger and their technology more advanced. They had learned to combine innovations from dozens of species, creating hybrid technologies that surpassed anything the galaxy had seen before. Their ships now moved through dimensions that existing science said were impossible. They had weapons that could target enemy vessels across vast distances by folding space itself. Most disturbing of all, they had begun to understand the fundamental forces that held reality together. They are advancing too fast, Dr. Nethara reported to Kethavar. At this rate, they will surpass our technology within another year. Perhaps sooner. How is that possible? Kethavar asked. We have had millions of years to develop our science, but we have been comfortable, the doctor replied. We perfected our technology and then stopped improving it. The humans improve everything they touch. They cannot help themselves. It is as if innovation is built into their nature. This was true. Humans treated every problem as a puzzle to be solved, every solution as a starting point for something better. They had taken Dominion shield technology and made it lighter and stronger. They had improved Dominion weapons to be more accurate and more powerful. They had even enhanced Dominion food production methods to be more efficient and more nutritious. They are not conquering us, Kethavar realized. They are making us obsolete. The final proof came when human scientists announced they had solved the energy crisis that had limited galactic civilization for eons. Using principles discovered through their study of dimensional gates, they had learned to extract unlimited clean energy from the quantum foam of space itself. This changes everything, Sarah told Kethvar during their next meeting. With unlimited energy, scarcity becomes a choice rather than a fact. Worlds can support larger populations. Species can explore space without worrying about fuel costs. The galaxy can grow again. Kethvar felt a chill of fear. The Dominion's power had always been based on controlling resources, particularly energy. If energy became unlimited and free, what need would anyone have for the Dominion's management? "What will happen to us?" she asked. "That depends on you," Sarah replied. "You can try to maintain control through force, in which case you will become tyrants fighting a losing war. Or you can adapt, learn to offer value instead of demanding obedience, become teachers instead of rulers. And if we cannot adapt," Sarah's expression was sad but firm, "then you will become another species the galaxy remembers but no longer needs." The negotiations were interrupted by urgent news from the front lines. The war clans had begun using human technology to conquer the peaceful worlds of the Inner Rim. Their brutality was spreading faster than the liberation movements, creating a wave of violence that threatened to consume entire sectors. "You must stop them," Kethvar demanded. "Your technology, your ideas, they are being used for conquest just as you accused us of doing." "We are stopping them," Sarah replied. "But not the way you think." She showed Kethvar the latest intelligence reports. Human fleets were indeed moving to stop the war clans, but they were not fighting alone. Species from across the galaxy were joining them, forming temporary alliances to preserve peace without sacrificing freedom. "This is what a free galaxy looks like," Sarah explained. "Not chaos, but cooperation by choice. The war clans are strong, but they are outnumbered by those who prefer peace. And unlike your empire, this coalition exists only as long as the threat does. When the war ends, the alliance dissolves, and each species returns to governing itself." "That is unstable," Kethvar protested. "What happens when the next threat arises?" "Then we form a new alliance to meet it," Sarah said simply. "That is how free people solve problems. Together, but by choice." The war against the war clans lasted 6 months and changed the galaxy forever. For the first time in 10,000 years, dozens of species fought side by side as equals rather than as rulers and subjects. They shared technology, strategies, and resources freely, creating innovations that none of them could have achieved alone. When victory came, it was total and swift. The war clans found themselves outmatched not just in numbers but in capability. The coalition had evolved new forms of warfare based on cooperation rather than domination, and no force based on conquest alone could stand against it. In the aftermath, something remarkable happened. Instead of the coalition dissolving as Sarah had promised, many species chose to maintain their connections. Trade networks became permanent. Scientific exchanges continued. Cultural sharing flourished. "You have created a new form of civilization." The revelation came during Kethvar's sentencing. She stood in the center of the tribunal hall, expecting to hear her punishment for the destruction of the old galactic order. Instead, she heard something that changed everything she thought she knew about humans and their war. "Before this court pronounces sentence," Judge Morthak announced, "we must examine evidence that has recently come to light. Evidence that may change how we understand these events." The screens above the hall flickered to life, showing intercepted human communications from deep space monitoring stations. The translation scrolled across the bottom, but many beings in the hall already knew enough human languages to understand the conversations directly. "Priority transmission from Deep Space Monitor Station 7, the first message began. "Long-range sensors detecting massive gravitational disturbances at galactic edge. Recommend immediate investigation." "Investigation confirmed," came the reply from Earth. "The Devourers have found us. All units prepare for Phase 2 operations. The test war is ending. The real war is about to begin." A murmur of confusion rippled through the hall. Test war? What did that mean? More communications followed, each one more disturbing than the last. References to galactic defense preparations and acceptable loss projections and combat readiness assessments. The humans spoke as if their war with the Dominion had been planned from the beginning, as if everything that had happened was just preparation for something else. Judge Zarellen leaned forward, her ancient voice cutting through the noise. "Prosecutor Villani, what is the meaning of this evidence?" "Your Honor," Vellani replied, her energy form pulsing with uncertainty. We are not entirely sure, but we have additional communications that may explain. The screens showed older messages dated from before the war began. Conversations between human scientists and military leaders that spoke of monitoring extragalactic threats and developing galaxy-wide defense capabilities and preparing local species for asymmetric warfare. Then came the message that silenced the entire hall. Earth. Command to Deep Space Station 1, confirm. Receipt of newest intelligence on Devourer fleet movements. Based on current projections, we estimate 18 months before they reach the galactic perimeter. Operation Freedom must be completed by then. All local species must be combat-ready and independently capable of coordinated resistance. Kethvar felt her crystal form grow cold. 18 months. The human war against the Dominion had lasted exactly 18 months. What are the Devourers? Judge Morthak demanded. Before Vellani could answer, a new voice spoke from the back of the hall. They are why we came here in the first place. Everyone turned to see a group of humans entering the chamber. They wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. But something about them made the ancient beings of the tribunal step back in recognition of a greater authority. The woman leading them was elderly, with white hair and scars that spoke of old battles. She walked to the center of the hall and stood beside Kethvar, looking up at the judges without fear. I am Admiral Elena Vasquez, commander of the human Exodus fleet, she said, and it is time you knew the truth about what you call Earth. The screens changed again, showing star maps and deep space imagery. A galaxy far from their own, dark and empty except for massive mechanical constructs that move between dead worlds like predators searching for prey. This was our home galaxy, Admiral Vasquez continued. 100,000 years ago, it was as full of life as yours is now. Thousands of species, millions of worlds, civilizations that had existed for eons, all of it consumed by the machines you see here. The images showed the end of a galaxy, worlds stripped of their resources, stars dismantled for their energy, entire solar systems converted into massive factory complexes that built more machines to consume more worlds. We called them the Devourers, Admiral Vasquez said. They are not a species in any sense you would understand. They are a technology that has become its own purpose. They exist to consume and grow and consume more. They have eaten 13 galaxies that we know of. Judge Zarellen spoke carefully. And you came here to escape them? We came here to prepare for them, Admiral Vasquez corrected. We knew they would follow us eventually. They always follow the survivors. So we had perhaps 50,000 years to get ready. The implications hit the hall like a physical blow. 50,000 years of preparation, 50,000 years of studying this galaxy, learning its strengths and weaknesses, preparing it for a war it did not know was coming. Earth was never your homeworld, Kethvar whispered. Earth was our fortress, Admiral Vasquez replied, hidden at the edge of the galaxy, far from your trade routes and exploration paths. We needed a place to rebuild, to study, to plan, and we needed it to look primitive enough that no one would bother us while we worked. More evidence flashed on the screens. Archaeological sites on Earth that were far older than human civilization should have been. Technology buried deep beneath the planet's surface that was more advanced than anything the Dominion possessed. Genetic records showing that humans had evolved too quickly. Their DNA containing traces of modification that should not have existed naturally. You have been manipulating us, Judge Morthak said, his voice heavy with accusation. We have been preparing you, Admiral Vasquez replied without apology. The Devourers consume galaxies by turning their inhabitants against each other, then picking up the pieces. Unity makes species weak because it makes them predictable. But independence, cooperation by choice, innovation driven by necessity, these things make species strong. Kethvar understood now why the humans had fought so strangely. Every tactic they had used, every technology they had developed, every alliance they had formed, all of it had been designed not just to defeat the Dominion, but to teach the galaxy how to fight an enemy that could not be negotiated with or surrendered to. The gate, she said suddenly. You wanted me to open the gate. You arranged for us to find you. Admiral Vasquez nodded. We needed an excuse to reveal ourselves gradually. If we had simply appeared with advanced technology and warned of an alien invasion, you would have dismissed us as conquerors. But if we appeared as primitives who learned quickly and fought fiercely, you would study us, learn from us, adapt our methods. And if we had surrendered immediately, then we would have found another way to start the war we needed. The galaxy had to be ready one way or another. Your people just made it easier by being exactly as arrogant and inflexible as we expected. The screen showed the present situation. Human fleets, no longer hiding their true capabilities, were positioned at strategic points throughout the galaxy. The ships were enormous, built using technology that combined the best of dozens of species with innovations that went far beyond anything the galaxy had achieved on its own. But they were not positioned to conquer. They were positioned to defend. The Devourers will arrive within the next year, Admiral Vasquez announced. When they do, they will expect to find a galaxy divided against itself, weak and vulnerable. Instead, they will find something that has never existed before, a free galaxy that fights as one by choice, not by compulsion. How do we know we can trust you? Judge Zarellen asked. How do we know you are not simply another form of conqueror? Admiral Vasquez smiled sadly. Because we are dying, she said simply. The human Exodus fleet contained the last survivors of our species. We have spent 50,000 years preparing this galaxy for war, and we will spend our lives fighting that war, but we will not survive it. She gestured to the humans who had accompanied her. Kethavar could see now that they were all old, all marked by the weight of ages. There were no children among them, no young adults. These were the last generation of a people who had sacrificed everything to give another galaxy a chance. We have no desire to rule you because we will not be here to do so, Admiral Vasquez continued. We have had 50,000 years to take control of this galaxy if that was our goal. Instead, we chose to teach you to save yourselves. The evidence was overwhelming. Humans had indeed manipulated galactic events, but not for conquest. They had engineered a war to prepare the galaxy for a greater conflict. They had forced species to become independent and innovative, because dependent, stagnant civilizations could not survive what was coming. The Devourers will be here soon, Admiral Vasquez said. When they arrive, you will face technology that can dismantle stars and convert entire worlds into weapons. You will fight enemies that feel no pain, show no mercy, and cannot be reasoned with. Your only advantages will be creativity, adaptability, and the ability to work together without surrendering your individual strengths. She looked directly at Kethavar. Ambassador, you asked during your trial whether opening the gate to Earth doomed the galaxy or saved it. The answer is both. You doomed the galaxy as you knew it, peaceful, stable, predictable. But you saved the galaxy as it could become, free, innovative, and strong enough to survive what no single species could face alone. The hall fell silent as the full implications sank in.